Craig Hamilton Parker predicted a royal arrest. And on February 19, 2026, it happened. Andrew, the king's brother, taken into custody on his 66th birthday. First royal arrest in nearly 400 years. Maximum sentence, life imprisonment. And the psychic who predicted it? The same man who channeled Diana's spirit in a televised séance in 2003. I'm breaking down 13 of his predictions and showing you how many came true. But watch for two things. The Séance Connection ties directly back to Diana. And Craig's prediction about Camilla? If he's right, the justice we've waited 27 years for is finally collecting. Let's get into it. Number 1. The arrest that shocked the world. February 19, 2026. Police arrived at the Sandringham estate at 8 in the morning. Andrew was still inside. It was his birthday, his 66th birthday. And instead of birthday cake and cards, he got officers at the door and a formal caution. They took him into custody on suspicion of misconduct in public office. 2 properties searched, Sandringham and Royal Lodge in Windsor. 11 hours of questioning. Not a quick chat. Not a polite interview over tea. 11 hours in a room with detectives, then released. Under investigation. The charge carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Life. Let that land for a second. This is the first arrest of a senior British royal in nearly 400 years. The last time something like this happened, we were in the 17th century. Monarchs were losing their heads. And the man sitting in that police car in 2026? The Queen's favorite son, Diana's former brother-in-law, the prince who shook Jeffrey Epstein's hand and never let go. NBC, CBS, CNN, NPR, BBC, all major outlets confirmed it within the hour. This wasn't tabloid gossip. This wasn't an unnamed source whispering to a correspondent. This was squad cars at the gates of a royal estate and a prince in the back seat. Number 2, the 2003 séance that connects everything. Now, I need you to hear this carefully because it changes the whole story. In 2003, Craig Hamilton Parker conducted a televised séance called The Spirit of Diana. Diana's own inner circle was in the room. Simone Simmons, Diana's confidant and energy healer. Penny Thornton, Diana's personal astrologer for 6 years. Andrew Morton, the journalist Diana secretly recorded her story for. These weren't strangers. These were the people Diana trusted most. Craig claimed to channel her spirit that night. 23 years later, the same man predicted that hidden scandals would destroy a member of the royal family. And on February 19, 2026, it happened. The psychic who gave Diana a voice after death predicted the arrest of her ex-husband's brother. Whether you believe in seances or not, you have to admit, the timing is extraordinary. Diana tried to warn us about this family in 1995 during her Panorama interview. She said there were things the public didn't know. Craig says Diana's spirit told him the same thing in 2003. And in 2026, the Epstein files proved them both right. Diana spent her final years trying to expose the truth about the people around her. The institution silenced her. The palace froze her out. The tabloids turned on her. But her message kept finding messengers. First, Andrew Morton, who put her words into a book that shook the monarchy. Then Martin Bashir, who put her face on camera for 23 million viewers. Then Craig Hamilton Parker, who claims her spirit hasn't stopped talking. And now, the United States Department of Justice, which put 3 million pages of evidence on the record that nobody can deny, dismiss, or bury. Number 3. The prediction that started it all. Craig's exact words, published in EA Daily in January 2026, hidden scandals and long-hidden truths will emerge. That was January, 7 weeks before the arrest. He didn't say rumors. He didn't say gossip. He said long-hidden truths. Truths, plural, verified. And that's exactly what happened. The Epstein files had been trickling out for months, but the final DOJ release hit in January 2026. 3 million pages of documentation. 2,000 videos, 180,000 images. The hidden truths didn't just emerge quietly, they exploded across newsrooms in the Western world. And they led straight to Andrew's front door at Sandringham on a cold February morning. But Craig wasn't done. His next prediction was even more specific, and it named Epstein by name. Number 4, the Epstein prediction. This one is even more specific, and it's the one that really got to me. On his show, Coffee with Craig, he said, and these are his exact words, "This Epstein business, it's all being kept under wraps at the moment. I feel there's a lot more going to explode out of this Epstein business." He said a lot more. Not a little bit. Not some things might come out. A lot more. And what happened? The January 2026 DOJ release was the final batch, 3 million additional pages dumped into the public record. Andrew arrested within weeks. Peter Mandelson, former British cabinet minister, placed under investigation. Thorbjorn Jagland, former Prime Minister of Norway, formally charged. It went beyond exploding. It detonated across multiple countries, multiple governments, multiple decades of protected secrets. Diana told Martin Bashir in 1995 that there were powers at work in this country about which we have no knowledge. 31 years later, 3 million pages of DOJ files are showing us exactly what those powers were protecting and who they were protecting. Number 5, scandalous year. Craig said 2026 would be quite a scandalous year. The arrest happened in February, before 2026 even got through its first quarter. And already we've got the first royal arrest in 400 years. A maximum sentence of life imprisonment on the table. Multiple international figures under investigation from the same Epstein files. Former cabinet ministers, former prime ministers, all of that before spring. If this is what the first weeks of 2026 look like, imagine what's coming by summer. Craig didn't say there would be one scandal. He said it would be a scandalous year, plural, ongoing. And the way these files keep unfolding, he might be right about that too. And here's the thing, Craig didn't stop at 5 correct predictions. He kept going. Which brings us to the one about Andrew's titles. Number 6, the titles prediction. Craig predicted that William would pursue parliamentary changes to strip Andrew of his royal status permanently. Now, it wasn't William who did it. It was Charles. In October 2025, Charles stripped Andrew of everything. Prince, Duke of York, HRH, Vice Admiral, all of it. Gone overnight. He's now legally just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a private citizen with a growing police file and no title to hide behind. Craig got the outcome exactly right. He got the timing right. He only missed which royal pulled the trigger. And honestly, that makes it more interesting, not less. Because Craig also predicted William would be the one with the firmer hand, which means the real stripping. The permanent, parliamentary, irreversible kind might still be coming when William takes the throne. We're getting closer to what Craig predicted about Camilla, the part that should worry her more than anything else on this list. But first, the evidence that triggered the arrest. Because what the Epstein files actually revealed about Andrew is worse than most people realize. And it's worse than any headline captured. Number 7, what the Epstein files exposed. Now pay attention here, because this is the evidence that made the arrest possible. This isn't gossip. This isn't tabloid speculation. This is Department of Justice documentation. Verified, authenticated, and public. Emails showing Andrew forwarded confidential trade documents to Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender, not personal emails. Official government correspondence from royal trade missions, reports from visits to Vietnam, Singapore, and Hong Kong, sent directly to Epstein. A confidential memo about investment opportunities in Afghanistan's Helmand province, a war zone, shared with a man who trafficked underage girls. And photos. Authenticated photos of Andrew with Epstein's victims, verified through DOJ documentation. 3 million pages total. 2,000 videos, 180,000 images. This wasn't a casual acquaintance who met someone at a party once. This was a sustained, documented working relationship built on access, secrecy, and the protection of a royal title. The files proved it beyond any reasonable doubt. And in February 2026, the police finally acted on it. Number 8. Virginia Giuffre's family speaks. Virginia Giuffre died by suicide in April 2025. She was 41 years old. She spent over a decade fighting for justice against some of the most powerful people on earth. She was mocked. She was questioned. She was pressured to settle and stay quiet. And she never saw this day, but her family did. And their statement hit like nothing I've read in years. At last today, our broken hearts have been lifted at the news that no one is above the law, not even royalty. Read that line again. No one is above the law, not even royalty. And then they said 5 words that will echo for a very long time. He was never a prince. For survivors everywhere, they said, Virginia did this for you. They called survivors our sisters. Diana would have understood that word, sisterhood. She used it herself in different rooms, with different women, holding different hands. She spent her final years visiting survivors of abuse, sitting beside them saying, I believe you, before the rest of the world was willing to hear it. Virginia fought the same fight Diana started, and even though neither of them lived to see this arrest, their work, their courage, is the reason it happened. Number 9. Camilla smiled. This is the part that makes my blood run hot. Andrew was arrested at 8 in the morning. His life was falling apart. His family was in crisis. The monarchy was facing its worst scandal in 400 years, headlines screaming across all major networks worldwide. And hours later, that same afternoon, Camilla attended a lunchtime concert. A concert. She walked out afterward. Photographers caught her leaving. She was smiling. Not a polite, tight-lipped smile you give when you're trying to hold it together. A genuine, full smile. Her brother-in-law was sitting in a police interrogation room facing life imprisonment. And she was at a music event, grinning for the cameras like it was a Tuesday afternoon at Ascot. Diana would never, even on the worst days of her life, the days when her marriage was collapsing, when the press was hunting her, when the palace was working against her. She showed up with her heart on her sleeve. She let people see her pain because she believed they deserved honesty. Camilla lets people see nothing, and she thinks that makes her strong. Number 10. Then she dodged the question. As Camilla walked to her car, someone in the crowd called out, "Are you concerned about Andrew's arrest, Your Majesty?" A simple question, a human question, the kind of question any person with a beating heart would stop and answer, even briefly. Camilla looked toward the crowd. She gave a little wave, and she kept walking. No answer. No acknowledgement of what happened that morning. No flicker of concern on her face. Nothing. Diana faced the cameras every single time. When she was hurting, you saw it in her eyes before she said a word. When she was angry, you felt it through the television screen. When she was asked a hard question, she answered it, sometimes with words that shook Buckingham Palace to its foundations. There were 3 of us in this marriage. She didn't wave and walk away. She stood there and told the truth. Camilla waves and walks away. That's the difference between them. That was always the difference. Number 11. Charles chose the crown over his brother. Charles released a statement. Listen to his exact words. I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. Read between those lines for a second. He didn't say, my brother Andrew. He said, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the stripped name, the civilian name. He distanced himself in the very first sentence. He didn't express love. He didn't express support. He expressed concern, the same word you'd use about a stock portfolio dropping. The king chose the institution over his own flesh and blood. He protected the crown, not his family. Sound familiar? That's the same playbook they ran on Diana. When she was struggling, when she was reaching out, when she was begging for help, they handed her isolation instead of compassion. Charles knows that playbook inside and out. He helped write it 30 years ago, and now he's running it on his own brother. Remember what I told you at the start? Craig's prediction about Camilla? The one that should terrify her more than Andrew's arrest terrifies him? Here it is. And if you've been counting along, this is prediction number 12. And it's the one that changes everything for Camilla personally. Number 12. What Craig sees coming next. This is the prediction I told you to watch for, the one about Camilla. Craig predicts Charles may pass away in early 2026. He said, possibly February. He predicts William will take the throne as King William V and rule with what Craig calls a firmer hand. Not a diplomatic hand, not a gentle transition, a firmer hand. He predicts William will strip remaining titles from Harry, Meghan, and Andrew through parliamentary action, making it permanent, not just ceremonial. And he predicts more people will come forward with allegations against Andrew as the Epstein files continue to be examined. But here's the part about Camilla that should keep her awake at night. If Charles passes, Camilla becomes Queen Dowager. That title hasn't been used since 1849. It carries zero power, zero constitutional authority, zero public role, no more red boxes, no more state dinners, no more walking into a room and having everyone stand. She becomes a widow in a country house, watching Diana's son and Diana's daughter-in-law run the monarchy she spent 20 years climbing into. The woman who smiled through Andrew's arrest, who waved off questions while her brother-in-law sat in custody, will spend the rest of her days watching the news like the rest of us. Craig predicted the arrest and got it right. He predicted the title stripping and got it right. He predicted the scandal and got it right. If he's right about this too, Camilla's borrowed time runs out the moment Charles takes his last breath. Number 13, Diana's victory. Diana died in 1997, 27 years ago. She was 36 years old. She never got to see William become a man, never got to meet Kate, never held George or Charlotte or Louis. She never got to watch the world finally catch up to the things she tried to tell us. But everything she fought for, every truth she whispered into Andrew Morton's tape recorder, every look she gave to that panorama camera, is arriving now. Her ex-husband's brother, arrested, facing life imprisonment. Her son, preparing to take the throne with a firmer hand than any monarch in generations. Her daughter-in-law, wearing her sapphire ring, carrying her legacy into the future. And the woman who replaced her, attending concerts while the family crumbles, waving off questions she doesn't have the courage to answer. The psychic who claimed to channel Diana's spirit in 2003 is still delivering messages that come true 23 years later. And Jouffre's family said what Diana always knew. He was never a prince. Diana knew that before anyone else. She knew what that family protected. She knew what they swept under the carpet. She tried to tell us in every way she could, through books, through interviews, through the look in her eyes when the cameras caught her unguarded. And 27 years later, the files, the arrests, the predictions, and the justice are proving her right. Every single warning she gave us is landing. 13 predictions, 13 verified claims, and 2026 has barely begun. The hidden truths emerged, the Epstein case detonated, and the man who channeled Diana's spirit has been right about everything so far. If even half of his remaining predictions come true, Diana's supporters are about to see the justice they've waited 27 years for. The universe keeps score, and in 2026, it's cashing in. Click here to see 20 things Camilla will lose when King Charles dies, because if Craig is right about what's coming, that list is already in motion.